That was quite the day, quite the week of training babies. I'm not even done yet. It's almost 4 o'clock. I told everybody I would go to Big D's and pick up some supplies that they needed at the barn here, and actually a couple of supplies that are needed at home, also in Ontario. So I haven't even finished my day yet. Yeah, we didn't get done at the barn until 2 o'clock or so. It was a long day, but what a great day. Just an extension of what had taken place yesterday in Ontario. Very few horses made mistakes, and the ones that did had pretty good reason to do so. I guess I'll start with a couple of updates. A lot of people asking about Pathototality, how her and her foal were doing. Of course, he was a little weak when he was born. He was fine, but then the next day they thought he was a little sick. They took him to the clinic, and him and his mother were in the clinic for a week, which is like staying at the Ritz for a week and drinking all the alcohol in the minibar twice. But nevertheless, the foal is fine. The mother is great. They expect him to live a very full life and have no issues at all with what took place. So no residual issues will come of his trip to the clinic as a baby. So he'll recover fully and have a wonderful life and hopefully go undefeated. Don't see why he shouldn't. So they'll be fine. A lot of people had asked me about Goldbug today. I had mentioned in the video that she was making a little noise pulling up. Was there something going on? Because we did. So when you have the epiglottis and then you have the membrane that is in there, I don't really know the mechanics of it. I can't explain it like a vet. You have the epiglottis and it gets entrapped, it gets stuck. The membrane that's in there, usually what they'll do is go in with a little hook type thing and just cut it a little bit and release it, I guess. I don't really know exactly what happens, but and usually it's fine. But with her, the membrane itself, for some reason, was oddly large and meaty, and what I was hearing was swelling and inflammation in there. And our vet, Mike and I and Jason talked about it for a couple of minutes. I said, listen, what's your recommendation? He said, listen, we can shrink that up and probably be fine. He said, but when allergy season comes, the heat comes, all it will take is that to be inflamed once, and it will be very hard to get it back down in between starts. He said, I can fix it now, but I'm worried about what might happen later on. I said, that's a great point. So, having said that, what do you think? He said, send her to Brown University, have the membrane taken out. They do it very, very often. It's very, it's usually, hey, can we open that up with the hook method? If we can't, or if it's not successful, then what do you do? The next step is always that membrane. So just take it out, laser it, cut it, take it out, whatever. Again, I'm being very vague here because I'm not a vet and I can't explain it like Mike, although I will be with Mike later and I can ask him to explain it better. That is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to put him on the spot. It's exactly what I'm going to do. Nevertheless, so Goldbug will go and have that done. Now, my biggest thing was she's a little, I would call her a tiny bit underweight. She's a growing, lanky filly, so that can be accounted for in that way. Her appetite will only pick up. Can you imagine now trying to eat full time with this obstruction and inflammation in this membrane at the top of your throat? It must be very uncomfortable. So, and I had said to Mike, the last week since we've done that procedure, she's been a little picky with her food. He says, yeah, and that's going to continue if this is an obstruction. So you need to take that out. So that it's done. That's what we're going to do. We're going to shuttle her down to Brown University very soon, or Brown Clinic. I'm not sure which it is. I thought it was Brown University, but then there is a Dr. Brown who's the surgeon. I doubt they named the university after him. I'm going to say it's Brown Clinic. I'll find out tonight when I talk to Mike. The sun has now gone away. Okay. And then, I have to give a shout out to our employees here in Ohio and in Ontario. On these training days, there is so much work. I myself was up at 6:45. I was in the barn at 7:15, 7:20. Had a shower. Did not shave, but had a shower. Went to the barn. I wanted to get there early enough to make sure everything was going to run smoothly because, as Jason put it to me, McGinnis, there wasn't a lot of room for error today because the track closed at 1 and there was a lot to be done. We got it done just under the line, just under the deadline, but we got it done. I wanted to make sure things run smoothly. So at 8 a.m., the first horse was walking out the door to go on the track. So everything went smoothly. Our caretakers in Ontario, they did a wonderful job having everything ready. In between yesterday, I had horses to train, and there was a lot going on. And just for everybody to make sure everything looks professional, you have no idea how much goes into what you see on the track. And for our employees, they just do a tremendous job. I would love to, call you all out by name, but for now, you're going to have to make do with a blanket a note of appreciation or acknowledgement, I guess. Just a wonderful job everybody did. I left the barn at a little after 2, and there were still people putting horses away. So thank you all very, very much for that. I truly, truly appreciate it. Now, getting down to the brass tacks, as they say, getting right down to the nuts of it all. What went on today? My goodness. Let's start with Patrick DePrana. That was pretty cool, right? That, for those of you who are wondering, was a mile in now, a galloped mile. Don't read into it more than it is. The one thing to take away from his galloping mile was he couldn't blow a match out when he came in, which was awesome. I galloped on a mile in 156 off a half and almost 102, so last half in 54 and a piece. And he was definitely enjoying his workout. Halfway around the last turn, he just hit some odd gear. He was gone again, and it's nice to see the horses having that much fun, and he was very, very, very good. A great training set also. Austral Hanover, my God. I'm going into it saying 2.5. I wonder, is he going to feel good, or is he going to be a little drawn out? Remember, we talked about how's he going to feel this week, because I trained him hard last week. How's he going to recover and train this week? The last time I trained him hard, the week after, he was so-so. He wasn't so-so today. I wanted to go in 2.5. I get over the half in 103 and 3, 103 and 4, and said, he's pretty rank. I'm going to have to come a half in 1-1 with him. No, 59 and 2, mile and 2.3. He was very, very strong today. Just an absolute death grip on him the whole way. He was definitely feeling good this morning. Tailgate Buzz, one of his knee boots come down, and I thought it came down in the last turn. No. I watched the video again. I've only watched one video as I was in the parking lot of Big D's, and that video was those 3-year-olds training. That knee boot was down around the first turn. So, did he hit it? It slid down more than likely. Obviously, there was no marks on his knee, so he didn't hit it after that. I think it was just maybe when he cinched him up going into the first turn, he just plucked it, just touched it, maybe jostled it a bit, and it fell down. So, Tailgate Buzz was closing hard into me, but I mean, obviously, he didn't want any part of Austral this morning. Tailgate Buzz has been good. Now, the stable, Jason's biggest chore will be figuring out who races where, and do we have races for them. I'm going to lobby hard at Northfield Park to get both those horses written into races where they don't have to race against 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds. I'm not asking for any gimmies. I'm not asking for us to put us in a class where we're 1 to 9. No, but give us a shot. I'm not racing against 7-year-olds with $250,000 on their card. It's unfair. So, and if I have to, I'll wait. But I don't want to. Obviously, I thought this would be a different conversation. I thought we'd be talking about, I trained good today, a couple more training trips. My God almighty, it feels like you go right into a stake race right now. The horse was clearly very, very good. A lot of people ask about training them at a mile and a half. Is it enough endurance? You tell me. How did Austral look today? Jesus. Tailgate Buzz was good too. That's pretty much him, right? If you tighten him up a little bit more and get him on a helmet where he can beat up on a horse, he looks like a monster. But he's very, very similar to Austral, but not quite. They're very, very similar horses, but Austral draws the outside and Tailgate Buzz draws the inside, then Tailgate Buzz would beat him. But I think that's the type of situation. They're similar, but there is a first and second. And both are very, very nice horses and the type of horse anybody would love to own. Cutie Cumber, there's a filly that did. Now when I watched her, like when I turned around and kind of looked, I thought she was gassed a little bit, but I think Eric was just being very conservative with her in the turns. I think if you just tap her on the tail, she'll take off, but I noticed he was just kind of steadying her a little bit. It's steadier. Let her do her work. She's usually pretty good. And the way she finished up, the way she trotted down the backstretch, was what I saw in the video was not my take on it. Looking back at her, I thought she looked a little drawn out, but keep in mind, she was ready for 2.5. She was I guess it was very documented. A couple of weeks behind these horses as far as workouts go, and she went a mile in 2.5 last half in a minute and 3/5 or so. And now she might have went a little more in 2.5. I went 2.3 and 3 for sure. She went a little more in 2.5. But exactly where I thought she'd be. If you thought that she could overhaul Austral Hanover and Tailgate Buzz, here's a maiden filly, a bigger, stronger, heavier filly with less work into her. That's unfair of her. Unfair to ask that of her. I thought, looking back on her video now, much better than I thought about it in my mind. I said, gee, she's going to need a couple more weeks of some heavy lifting. I don't know if that's it at all. I think she might need a couple of weeks of work, but definitely more suited for a bigger track. But she could get around a half easily if you had to have her do it. So next week, I don't think it'll change my trajectory in her. Train a mile and a half on Saturday. You don't stretch her out. Just go 2:30, 2:25 speed, and then come right back in the race bike. Actually, train her Friday. Come right back in the race bike next Wednesday when I'm here again. I guess Saturday, Wednesday's okay too. So those were the 3-year-olds, and that was Patrick DePron. And now getting right down to it, how did the horses look today? Man, oh man, how did the horses look today? Where is the first set? Did Curtis erase my first set? Curtis, he doesn't watch my videos. He erased my first set. What a meathead. It was here, and now it's not. That's not cool. Well, I should be able to find it pretty easy, I guess. Oh, it's not there. It's not the scratches. How did he erase it? It's impressive. The sets did go very, very well. The first set, when we went on the track, I had told everybody, hey, Oha's here videoing the Ohio horses. Make sure you put them in play. And I said to Eric, I said, hey, I'm fancy, like, maybe you whack it out with her. He goes, you want to put her on the front? Because he usually just follow, sprint, follow, sprint. I said, yes, put her on the front. Let her do a little work. Make sure Cowboy's in the 2-hole. You guys sprint hard down the lane. You know, you pickpocket in there. A number of horses. Was pickpocket in that one? No, he was in later on. Thanks, Curtis. You erased my thing. Whoever I had, my apologies. Whoever I had Arson sit 5th along the rail. I remember who was in there now. Really Don't Care was second over. Affection was first over. Affection come right up alongside the Pacers, and then we took off down the lane. Arson comes screaming through the inside. I thought he looked really good also. But the shock was Cowboy couldn't get up past I'm Fancy. Like, I mean, you can only go so fast from the head of lane to the wire in a jog cart in April as a 2-year-old. I think Cowboy, just like Jason, maybe thought he was just going to step out of the 2-hole and it was going to be a clear shot to the winner's circle, so to speak. And I'm Fancy was having none of that. She put it on both of them. Finished up very, very strong. Cowboy was second. I was third with Arson. He looked great. Affection and Really Don't Care. Again, all 5 of those horses were very, very, very good. Really, really happy with the first set. We come out in the second set. Royal Emeralds, Oh Snap You, Memory and Imagination, Who Let Lovers Play. And I told everybody, you know, I had at least 4 or 5 emails from my partners on Lovers Play saying, oh, she looks lame, and you're going to get her looked at by the vet, and why she got her head turned, and you guys forget, you get to see it all, right? And I want you to remember that. I told everybody, we're going to put a blister on her, we're going to get her shot, put a blister on her, and Baycox her, and I suspect after a couple of weeks of work, she'll look like a better horse. And I was correct. She was perfectly fine today. If I had filed her, if I'd have come with her a little earlier, again, it's so hard to make up ground when you're going a pretty good last half of the jog cart. You can only ask the horses for so much. And Gypsy Hill had really dummied us over to the half. Jason had the brakes on pretty good, and then you're not going to beat a horse like Gypsy Hill off a cheap half when he's coming, when we can all trot a last half in 108, 109 the jog cart right now. The one on the front is going to be the one that's going to win it. It's just the way it is. So Gypsy Hill was super strong. Oh Snap You was great. Memory and Imagination. Now the only issue, very few issues of the entire day, Purple People Eater. Poor Joey lost the filly, and Joey loves going with this filly. It was his only drive of the day on the 2-year-olds anyway. And, you know, I know he was frustrated when she made a break. He said, she just horsed bad. I just lost her in the first turn. It happens, and this filly in particular, it will happen too. She can come into heat really bad, and then she gets little nasty when she's in season. She gets a little nasty when she's in season like that. I'll go over to the barn first. Drop this stuff off. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So, Purple People Eater made a break, but man, the whole set was loaded all the way down the lane. Royal Emeralds made a break at the start, but that was also the first time you guys noticed that. I liked it too. It aesthetically looked nicer when they all start together in a line. I forget how that looks until you see it. I'm watching it on the TV as we're starting, and it looks much nicer. We're going to try and do that from now on. She was a little angry. They've never seen, they've never experienced that before. It might sound silly to you, but it's not. For the horses, it's not at all. It's any sort of deviation from normality for them can be a problem sometimes, especially for babies. And that's all it was with her. Once she settled in, once she came back trotting and settled in, she was fine after that and looked very, very good. I thought every single horse in there has to be a winner, though. Gypsy Hill looked dominant and was and continues to be one of our best horses in Ohio. He looked exceptionally good today. Went out in the third set. Now, maybe, I don't know if the camera was on me or not. I had to pull up at one point. I noticed that Sweeney had lost a shoe. We found it after. It was exactly where he was goofing off over in the far turn. I didn't hear him grab it. Usually you hear him click and then you could see it fall off, right? I didn't see any of it. So I just noticed he was missing it. So I went back in. I want to put a line pole on the outside of him because in the straightaways he was getting out a little more than usual. He's due to be shot. He was getting out a little more than usual, and he made a couple of breaks scoring down. So I come off and I put a line pole on the outside, and I wanted to look at his foot because if his foot was all ripped up, like broken up, I was probably just going to scratch him. I didn't want to jeopardize chipping his foot all up. But we went back to the barn, his foot looked fine. So he literally knowingly participated in the training set with 3 shoes on, missing a right front flip-flop, which is a fairly significant piece of equipment to be missing. And although he was super strong, I didn't find it his best training mile, but he's just such a big, powerful colt. He just powered through it. And, I opened up a bit in the last turn because he actually trots the turns very square and will put the odd step in the straightaways. And I wanted to get him up in 5th gear, so to speak, in the turn, and then just kind of idle down the lane and kind of growl at him and he would take off. But if I asked him to accelerate down the lane, there was that chance, especially now with the shoe missing, that he would get out of gear and make a break. And he didn't. He was very, very strong and looked great. Activation, I was very happy with him. Mounts for all. Paycheck Princess did her work, as did No Chance in Hill. Worth noting, No Chance in Hill's first training trip since he had to take a trip to the university for suspected colic. Now, it turned out it wasn't as bad as we thought, but he did stay for observation for a few days, and this was his first training trip back. So, a huge check mark beside him to go out there and do his work, go above and beyond expectations again. For a horse that had only maybe been in 30, we went a mile in like 27, and he hadn't trained in almost 3 weeks. So, just a great mile from everybody in there. Again, very, very impressed with the whole set. Set number 3, set 4, we went out. That was the issue with Goldbug. I had told you I heard her making a noise. She was still flying on the end of it. I allowed her to overtrot herself. That was my fault. She kind of caught me off guard. I thought she was getting great footing where I was, and she was making gains, so I just kind of left her alone where I should have probably just cinched her up and just let her trot through the wire. That was on me. That wasn't even on Goldbug Hanover. That was an Anthony fault. That was my fault. It was Anthony's mistake. So Goldbug Hanover over-trotted herself, and then I could hear her making a substantial... There was an obstruction. You could hear it pulling up. We got her scoped after, and he said, yeah, take her to Brown and get that membrane trimmed up good or taken out. So that's what we're going to do with Goldbug, but she was very good. It's not going to make a huge impact in her training down. What it will do is make a huge impact on her appetite also. I can see this being a very good thing for this filly moving forward. Alibaba looked very strong in there. Antilles Hanover was good. So was Mel Gibbswan. I believe Mel Gibbswan actually won the set, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't see that race, that set. But all 3 of those horses looked good. 3rd and 6th was just in behind them. He looked good also. One big fat squirrel. Go across the road. That squirrel was so big, he might have done damage to my car had I hit him. That was a big squirrel. 4 o'clock squirrel. Mel Gibbswan, very good. Alibaba, very good. Antilles Hanover, very good. 3rd and 6 was good. And Goldbug Hanover, that was my fault. She was very, very good also. And think about it this way. What kind of professionalism and competitiveness do you show when you clearly are not breathing at your best? You're not at your full capacity as far as air intake, and you go out and train the way you did and fight tooth and nail. That's the type of horse we want, and that's the type of horse we want her to be. So the memory will be fixed, and that is nothing there. It's like, well, will it still? No. Once it's done, and it's a non-factor after that. Set number 5. So impressed with Pull the Shoes again. I know I was 4th, but if you watch again, if I had filed her to the right, the one thing I noticed about her today, she's due to be shod, and I noticed that at high gear when I scored her down, she did hit her knee a couple of times. Now, she used to hit her knee and make breaks because she'd get panicky. We got knee boots on her. The one problem I did have is we had bell boots on her also. Now when she hit her knee, she would stick, rubber to rubber, stick a little bit and take off. I didn't want to have her in top gear. If I had filed her right, I may have actually run everybody down, but I just stayed to the left and let her finish up in behind them. She was very good. A horse that really impressed me today was Chirahola. She was weak. I told you guys she was weak last week training. Very good today, first over. Not her cup of tea. She's steering better, looking better. Jason said she was much better. Sedona Hill was fantastic. Born to Dance had some pop. You might say, well, he's a pacer and a trotters. It doesn't matter. You can only go so fast from the head of the lane to the wire. You can't, it's just simple physics and math. Physically, at this point in this stage, you can only go so fast. And Sedona Hill is a very tough horse to overtake at this stage from the head of the lane to the wire. Born to Dance gave her a pretty good run for her money. Chirahola, Pull the Shoes are right beside each other, and Militant was in 5th. Now, Militant had hit his knee a week or 2 ago. He's a little light on training. That knee was still a little compromised. He was running out a little bit and touching the knee. So what we have to do with Militant, just continue to take good care. Lauren's done a great job taking care of his knee. Continue taking care of his knee. Maybe take the bell boots off him for his next few sets, and we got to get the Murphy blind on him and leave that on him. And if anything else is needed, my first step would be to put a jawbreaker on him, but very minor, very minor changes needed for Militant, and he's been one of our better trainers. He was just a little short today, a little short in his knee, feeling a little sorry for himself with his knee, but it's not a big deal. The horse was absolutely great. Now the 6th set went out. Blanton's Blue, still a little ignorant, but still lots of pop. This guy, he's going to put it together. I will work him hard enough that come June, he will be as tough as an old guy used to say in PEI. He'll be as tough as a boiled owl. I don't know who boils an owl or why you would do such a thing or how tough it actually gets when it is completely boiled. I have no idea. But it is a saying. And I'm going to use it. He's still a little ignorant bugger, but he can trot now. We got him square now. He was very good. Nicola Hanover, I told you, Jason opened her up, put a can't see back on her instead of a closed, and pulled up a little bit in the last turn. Now Daryl, because Blanton's Blue was pulling up a little bit, Daryl moved to the outside with Sunset Acres Girl to follow Jason, thinking Jason was going to overtake me and he was going to pick up the scraps. Didn't happen that way. Blanton's Blue come back on. Nicola Hanover pulled up a little bit, and now Daryl had to come back to the inside, come back to the outside, and he couldn't quite run Blanton's Blue down. Southwind Digit, another rare unforced error today. I'm going to start going with her and tinkering with her. She's going to get a little rough in the turns. Does she need to be shod, or is there something bothering her? Now's the time she's going to have to get up on her toes and start working a little bit. And if she's going to stall in the turns, I will fix that. We will put the hobbles on her, and she will march through the turns. I don't know if it's needed, but, I've been saying, not a big deal. She's coming. Well, it's April now. Now you're going to have to do some dancing. And Southwind Digit, lots to offer. I think she just needs to be shook up a little bit, and she'll get to shaking. She is going to find herself in my office. Her, and there was one other horse for sure. Paycheck's going to go there for sure. She was good today, but she'll go to my office also, so to speak. And so will, there was one other horse. It will come to me. I'm looking right now. Maybe I won't be able to find it. No chance. Oh, No Chance in Hill. I want to work with him a little bit. Lover's Play is going to stay with me. I don't know. Okay. Seventh set, Prince Charm he's fine now, perfectly fine now. But I wasn't taking any chances. He's acting a little colicky, a little down in the dumps today. Didn't eat all his breakfast, didn't really have a temperature, but clearly not on the top of his game, so we scratched him today. If he's feeling that good tomorrow, as he's feeling right now, I'll just train him tomorrow morning. But he was fine afterwards. It's just, with everything that we went through this year, I'm just not taking any chances when it comes to colics or sickness or anything, and just not doing it. So we just scratched him. That set was very good. Vaquero Blue Chip was, as the race secretary, I should be ashamed. Vaquero Blue Chip was in much lower than his ability. Much lower. And it was a nice little jog in the park for Vaquero Blue Chip. AC Swan was good. Levesque in action starting to look good also, and even did not know, wandering a bit all over the track a little bit, but still, speed wise she's coming. Hopefully, she'll continue to wander, but the speed will be there, and eventually as she wanders less, we'll get to a point in the next few weeks where they mesh together and a nice filly emerges. But did not know, did her work well today. Won a mile in 2:33, 2:34. Levesque in action was good. AC Swan was good. Vaquero Blue Chip was very, very good. And then we went out the last set. Now, Green Tea, we know that the left knee was bothering just a hair, a little bit, him and Mel Gibbswan. And we always had the Murphy blind and head pull on the inside, but I hadn't gone with Green Tea in a while. I tightened that chain up, that martingale. You saw him throw a hissy fit starting. He's just rooting his head. He wanted to fight with me. Well, he's not going to win. I'm more stubborn than him. So I tightened his chain up on his martingale, and he threw himself, but in the mile he was good. And he trotted as hard as he could for well over an eighth of a mile. I didn't want to put him in a position to expose him. This was his also first training trip back since the last time you saw him, because we wanted to work on that left knee. What we don't need to do right now is have the Murphy blind on him. He's running away. I took the Murphy off on the track. The head pull that we have on him, he doesn't even need that anymore. He can go with neither head pull nor Murphy blind from here on in. No real additional changes needed. Just got to keep working on that knee. I'm going to check his knee tomorrow, see if there's any heat in them. Speed-wise, he is coming back to where he was. I really, really like this horse, and there was just a lot to catch up. I was sitting behind Victory Blue Chip. There's a horse that may need castrated. Victory Blue Chip, our only third horse of the day that really made a break for no real necessary reason. And I'll start going with him. He's the other horse. I'll start going with him for sure over the next couple of weeks, and he's found his way at least penciled into castration list. I don't have a problem with the horse. He's just not ignorant. He's not rude. He's not stupid. He doesn't bite anybody or kick at anybody. But the unforced errors, the unforced breaks need to stop. And I didn't really ask Jason what happened today. I saw him make the break coming out of the turn in a place he never should have made a break. So I'll start going with him from now on. If we have to castrate him, we will. I was following him until I just went by him. At that point, I'm trying to run down Irresistible Sun, Venice Blue Chip, and Pickpocket, three of our best horses on two gates. It's going to be impossible to do it. Venice Blue Chip just looked literally bionic. Irresistible Sun looked very fantastic also. And Pickpocket was very, very good. Those three looked very, very good. And Green Tea looked good also. Just got to continue to work with him. It almost seems like since I stopped going with him 6-7 weeks ago, he regressed a little bit, where maybe he was in a little bit of a funk. I think that chain was a little bit longer, and he used it to his advantage to kind of bully the drivers around a little bit. That's not going to happen anymore. So I tightened that chain up to the point where maybe he would have got away with that little hissy fit at the start that he did today, but not anymore. The chain's going to be on him tight for a while. He's going to learn to behave himself in before, during, and after the mile. And I don't see any reason for that. I know that Jason said he's pretty hard on the gates too. I know that Dr. Rucker didn't want to geld him, and we're not really to a position where we have to. But if he keeps destroying property inside the barn, it is a conversation we may have. So for right now, I don't think I could be happier. Could you? With the way the last 2 days have gone, we went from Ohio training good last time to Ontario a little bit, to 2 fantastic days of training. The temperature here has dropped immensely, and this is a snow and rain mix right now. And Amy told me it snowed hard in Ontario for about 2 hours. I said, it's like plus 10 over here. It's not now, it's plus 3. So when I left the barn here, I think it was 5 or 6 degrees, and now it's 3. That temperature has dropped quite a bit. So nevertheless, our day is done. Just a tremendous day today. Tonight, all we have is Columbus out of the 8-hole. I don't know how that's going to play out, but Columbus out of the 8-hole. And and Stonebridge Academy out of the 6-hole. Now, I am here. I'm not driving them tonight because I was trying to convince James to come over. I thought he would come over. And if he did, I thought we'd go out and do something together tonight. Instead, Mike and I are going to go have a bite to eat and watch the horses race. And I will play bystander tonight. You know what? It's just been such a great week. I am thoroughly pleased. Not just the 2-year-olds, how good was Austral Hanover and Tailgate Buzz and Cutie, to be honest. Really pumped. Really happy with the way everybody was. Qualifiers tomorrow, tune in. We got 5 going. Let's see if I can get them. Usually I can only remember 3 or 4 things. 5 going tomorrow. I know that Coupe de Ville and they only need 4 qualifiers for trotters. So Coupe de Ville had to go in with one of our horses. I put her in with High Enterprise. Jason is going to go with Coupe. I'm going to go with High Enterprise. This might be the swan song for High Enterprise with us. She has to show me something today. She has less than 24 hours to get it done. And if she doesn't tomorrow, she'll be gone shortly thereafter. Coupe de Ville, Jason trained her here. She's a little tricky, but Jason trained her here last week. Jason McGinnis said, Jason Merriman trained her. He'll get along just fine with her. Okay, he can go with her. I'm going to go with Mo Power, baby. Really excited about that. Going to go a very easy mile with our big girl, Swinging Senorita. Just going to duck her in the middle somewhere. I'd like to go a mile in 2 minutes, 2-1 with her tomorrow. And we're at 4. Can I remember that? Yes, I can. Leaps and Bounds goes tomorrow. So, really excited about that also. She's been training great. So, tomorrow qualifying, and then I'm back to Ontario. Friday we got some training at First Line. A little easier trips on Friday. I won't be back over here Saturday. They'll go easy trips with these guys again on Saturday. I'll be qualifying landing pad. We'll be schooling some horses also. Saturday night at Mohawk. I think they put me on Haunted House this week. I'm okay with that, I suppose. And then we have a number of other horses in. So everything is coming up roses so far this week. We haven't done a lot of racing. Mohawk's down until Saturday. We have some horses racing tomorrow around North America. We have 2 tonight. We have More Than You Know Thursday for sure. I don't know about Ohio. Pennsylvania, we have Dustin Hanover on Friday. Then Dustin Hanover will make his way back to race at Northfield Park. They're down next week at the Meadows for some reason also. So with that, I'm going to let you go. A huge update, but a huge day. Just a great day at the stable. The babies were great. The 3-year-olds were great. Patrick looked great. Very happy as I head home. Take care.